from the first day, I introduced them, showed them how safety, is supposed to be, and we sang that little song, the Eddie Eagle song. If you find a gun, run away and tell a grown up. I mean, that is
How
so
does the
important.
song go? I'm putting you on the spot because this I couldn't make this up if I tried. Go ahead.
It says, "Stop, don't touch,
Uh-huh.
run away and tell a grown up."
Okay.
And that's the song, the Eddie Eagle song about firearm safety. If a child were to find a gun, that's what they're supposed to do.
So I'm not going to get the song.
That's it. That's most of
That's
it.
the song. And that's important because I'm going to go over some few facts. And when I say something that you want to just interrupt me.
Yeah.
It's your show too tonight. Injury is the leading cause of death for American children and adolescents, according to over 60% of all deaths in this group. So that means that more children are dying, 60%. More children are dying from unintentional, because it's not intentional, so it's unintentional death, which I found, I knew it was bad, but I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was, and I got this information from the NRA site and from also the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They said, which is sad. They said children are killed more than once a week last year under similar tragic circumstances. A loaded gun and an adult's attention. Who is to blame, and how should that person be punished? So I know in New York we had a law, because I'm from New York, that any unintentional killing of a child, the parent was to blame and to be responsible. Every state is different. What is your take on that?
It's a fine line, because the grieving loss of a parent when they have felt the guilt of their child has gotten to their firearm, really the punishment is not going to really fit the crime, because the individual, the parent, is going to feel that guilt, and that's going to be 5,000 times worse than a prison sentence. Really, that's just going to shorten somebody's productivity to society. And typically gun owners are productive members of society.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And I believe that if they can instill safety parameters, safety measures, lock it up, and if you have small children and you have to leave it unloaded, well, leave it unloaded in a different area, like put a magazine into another drawer. Keeping it separate would be a good idea. But definitely instilling the education to the child is important. Like you mentioned before, abstinence is not the cure.
I look at it, I agree. I look at it like this. You would not buy a car without brakes.
Right.
Hello.
Exactly.
You wouldn't buy a car without brakes. You wouldn't put your 3-year-old, your 14-year-old, your 13-year-old in the front seat of a car with the car running on the side road of 95 and leave them there and say, don't touch.
Right.
You would never do that. That just saying it's, I sound pathetic and insane.
Yeah.
Just saying it. And to me, that's the same thing. You being a gun owner means that you're responsible. And the reason I wanted to do this show, I wanted to prevent. If we have 60% of deaths, that is the leading cause of unintentional deaths for children in this country. I hope this show can bring that number down, because one is too many.
Yes.
I just think one is too many. They said firearms are the second leading cause of death among American children and adolescents after car crashes. Firearm deaths occur at a rate more than 3 times higher than drownings.
Wow. Scary.
Very scary, because I have a pool, and I had maybe a 5-foot fence. I put a 6-foot because I have children on my right, I have children on my left, and I lock it. If I'm away, I let my neighbors know, watch your child. You put up cameras. That's being responsible.
Absolutely.
And it comes, even though I have a fence around my property and a fence around the pool, even though if you trespass, these things happen. And I heard a story about in another state about a 3-year-old, and very tragic. And I'm going to go back to that. But we are happy for our sponsor, which is Treasure Coast Lexus. We couldn't be doing this without them. We are going to be back with Richard Stein from All Florida Security Services right here in Port St. Lucie, a business owner here in our community, and we'll be back after this message.
You're listening to The Science of Caring. Careology with Roxy, and we'll be right back.
If you could reimagine the way you buy a car, what would you do? Make it simple, make negotiations disappear, demand transparency, then experience amazing at your Treasure Coast Lexus dealer. Car Buying Simplified. Treasure Coast Lexus is a proud sponsor of Careology. Every Tuesday at 6:05 p.m., caring and supporting for our community. Car Buying Simplified. Check out your Treasure Coast Lexus dealer. All Roads Truck and Auto Repair. They get it right the first time. Call 772-266-3303. All Roads Truck and Auto Repair. All roads lead here. When you want it done right, call 772-266-3303. Tell them Roxy sent you.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And now, back to Careology. Once again, here's your host, Roxy.
Hello, and if you are tuning in with us on WPSL 1590 on Careology, my name is Roxy, and thank you for being with us. Thank all our listeners and viewers on Facebook, on TuneIn, on WPLSS Live, and on Alexa. We love having you. And with me is Richard Stein from All Florida Security Services. And the good thing about Richard, we have some good security. His office is where CareBag's office is, and on Hancock Drive in Port St. Lucie. But I've known Richard and his wife before we moved there, so I even feel more secure. And thank you, Richard.
My pleasure.
Because his door is open. You can just walk in. Very lovely place. And what Careology is about is finding a resolution, Richard, that we can help our community. And I love that you are in our community and you're doing such a good job. Thank you so much for that. And he does a lot of things. You want to learn, you want security, you want to learn how to be a productive citizen owning a gun. And I said that way for a specific reason, that it is your duty to learn. Some people have a gun and don't know how to use it. That's like buying a car. You cannot buy a car without a driver's license.
Right.
You can't fly a plane without a license.
Right. You can't operate a car without a license, so why operate a firearm without proper training?
Hallelujah.
So many people I meet that are gun owners, they get their permit, they do the 3-4 hour class, and if they go to a gun show, it's even less than that. They don't get proper education of how to actually hold a firearm.
Right.
And it's scary that there's the majority of individuals that are carrying a gun are not properly or professionally trained.
And
Scary.
most of them get killed when they pull it out, because the person that's coming at them is very versed in the knowledge of handling their gun.
Right.
And that is the scary part.
And if you think that in an emergency situation, if somebody pulls out their firearm in self-defense and they shoot somebody else because they don't handle it very well, guess what? They're going to be held criminally and civilly liable.
Yeah.
So it behooves any gun owner, even if somebody wants to learn, even if you have children 18, 19, 20 years old that want to learn because they want their permit, get professional training. And I am a state of Florida law enforcement firearm instructor. And they can visit my website at securityinflorida.com and make an appointment.
Yeah.
Get
I've
that
gone to
training.
your shop because I saw a piece that I really, sorry, it's a New York in me. I saw a firearm that I liked, and your wife was there, Tina was there, and she brought me to the back, and she's like, hey, stand here, there you go, there's a target. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, go girl. You know, she's just on point, and it's a family-owned business.
Yes.
So that's the good thing, and that's something we really focus on here is family-owned local businesses here in our community, and we thank you for that, for offering that for us.
Definitely.
And I know that you're going to be at the April 24th, the Safety Fest.
Yes.
You're going to be at the Safety Fest. I'm going to be at the Safety
Met
Fest
Stadium.
at the Met Stadium, and we're going to be talking about that as we go. Care Bag will be there. We have a big surprise. I love Doug. Doug has been a big supporter of Care Bag.
He's great.
And we'll be there with our hygiene pantry. We'll be there with our mobile shower unit, and come on out, visit us, see us, and we have a really big surprise. We have a sweepstakes coming up. Tickets will be available. I'll talk more about that on our next show, so I'm very excited about that. But I'm going to go back to the story we had, Richard, and it was in a state, and a 3-year-old opened his parents' drawer, and it was that they were taking a nap, and he picked up the gun and turned it towards him.
Wow.
And pulled the trigger.
Oh, goodness.
And they arrested the parents. And as I was reading the article, the judge said what you said. So similar to what you said. She said, there is not any amount of time I can give you that your grief is not. And I read it, and I was like, they just took a nap. That's what they did. He said he came home. He said he just put it down. Everyone was sleeping.
Right.
And how he got there, they still don't know. And I read that, and my heart just, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do a show on gun safety for children. That's what triggered it. And it's just, we want adults to know. And I have something here by the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And they do the federal data to reflect only the background checks of associated with firearm sales. So what I'm saying is just what they know from individuals that have legally purchased their firearm. I don't have numbers for those that purchase illegally because we'll never know.
Right.
Gun firearm sales spiked more than 2.3 million in March.
Correct.
Of 2020.
Yeah.
Representing an increase of 80% from March 2019 to April's background checks for firearm sales, spiked nearly 70% to 1.6 million compared to the same last year, according to the Trade Association. That is a lot of firearms.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's to you, no, but to me, that's too much.
Sure.
That's too much. You only need one. We're not having a revolution. We only need one. But just think of every gun that we have with the child. Now, when I'm saying a child, this could be a grandchild. This could be a godchild.
Right.
This could be a niece and uncle. And I just want to let people know, I like what you said, the best way of doing, gun safety. A gun is treat a gun like it's always loaded. Do you correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Always. And you never trust anybody else. If somebody hands you a gun, the best thing is to learn how to lock it open and double check it to make sure. Never trust anybody but yourself, and always treat every firearm as if it's loaded.
If it's loaded. I saw
Absolutely.
your wife show me the new gun I was looking at, and she Cliff, you should have seen it. I thought she was like when you go to the movies and you see those people with a gun, that was her. She was like, I was like, wow.
Was it one of those Glocks that you could remove
yeah,
the
she
barrel?
she was like, and I was like, yes,
now,
go ahead.
Let me tell you, when I married her 5 years ago, she did not want to even touch a firearm. And
shut
now
up.
yes.
Well, I don't mean shut up. This is a radio talk show. I need you to talk.
I've got to talk.
You got to talk. You're joking.
Figuratively speaking.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Thanks, Cliff. She did
Wow.
not want to touch a firearm at all. Wow. After 2 hours with me, she was shooting bullseyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? But that's to go with what I'm going to say right now. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
Without knowledge, you're lost.
Right.
Without knowing how something works, there's some people, oh, no gun, no gun, no gun, no gun. And that's fine. If there's some people that don't, my mom, that's it. There's some people that just don't like a gun.
Right.
But if you do, it behooves you to be responsible, Next thing, never point a gun at something you are not prepared to destroy.
Exactly. Yep. Definitely.
When I saw that was deep.
Yeah. Yeah, because when that bullet comes out of that barrel of that firearm, there's no turning back. There's no saying, oops, I didn't mean to do that, push the brakes. It's not happening. That thing is going, and it is going hard and fast. And that's what it is. It's going to destroy.
And I'm glad that you said that, because when you were talking, it just popped into my head. A lot of children are mixing up real life with cartoons.
Yeah.
You can't dodge a bullet. You can't do Matrix.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can't do I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh, Lord, please let remember. You can't do Keenan Wade with the Matrix and move out the way.
Right.
You can't do it. And children are mixing up in their head what they see on TV, the video games that they play, that, oh, I'm just going to bounce back up like Bugs Bunny and I'm going to be okay.
Right.
Elmer Fudd. It's, we need to separate truth and fantasy. We really need to do that. And education is very, very important. The next one they said is be sure your target and be sure of your target and what is behind it.
Very true. Yeah, especially in real life, if God forbid, knock on wood, anything were to really, really happen, if somebody's not properly trained, that bullet could miss that target. And we never really ever want to shoot somebody. But if it comes into a life and death situation, and that's what you have to do, well, that's why there's training, and that's why there's gun permits, and that's why there's education. But yeah, if you miss that target, like I mentioned before, if you hit somebody else, you are going to be held civilly and criminally. Somebody will go to jail for probably many years, probably 5 to 10 years, just because they're not getting properly trained. You figure somebody can spend $50 to $100 to get properly trained, or they could spend 10 years in prison. I don't know. I don't know. Weigh the option. I think I'll take $50, $100 to get properly trained.
I think so too. Just so you don't have to wear a suit and have someone tell you when to go take a shower, a poop, and I'm not politically correct here. I just say it, So, just off target, before I go to my last question, how did you get into the security service?
Well, I started my bail bond company in 1998 in Fort Lauderdale, and I was looking for a way to increase my business, and I was already doing security work, so I was thinking, well, let me just start a security company.
Okay.
So I started my security company in 2010, looking for other ways to increase that, became an instructor, and then to teach people how to be security officers, and then the next step above that was to become a firearm instructor, and that's where I am today.
Oh, okay, and you enjoy your job.
I love my jobs.
I know.
I wear like a dozen different hats.
Well, that's interesting. So people I want anyone listening to know this is not someone that just carries a gun, which he does, that just carries a gun and just talks. This is someone that's trained. I've talked to quite a few people that have gone to the range with you and just, because I do my background.
Good.
And they were very happy. They were very happy. Keep your finger off the trigger until the sights are the target. And I think that is where the problem comes in. With children.
Yeah.
Because they see that trigger on TV. And it's always, I was watching a few shows and they have it and they'll just pull it.
Yeah.
But the point is, once you pull it,
Yep.
that's it. It's not the TV show.
And in the cartoons, nobody ever dies.
No one dies.
They get all burnt up from the blast, but
they come out and shake it off.
No consequences.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that's what it is. Remember now, Cliff and Richard, it's unintentional. Yeah, it's unintentional. So they don't even know. Children have no concept of what death is.
Right.
So having no concept of death, you're not understanding the danger that you're in. Children really don't know danger. And if you have your child watching different things that are going on, then they're gonna presume that it's okay,
right.
and it's not okay. So we really want to encourage parents to, if you have a gun, if you're listening and you have a gun and you need training, I have the man here to help train you. And it's not about if you're in another state. I talked to someone that was in Holland. I talked to someone that was in Canada. They're listening. And if you're in another place and you need training, go and get it. Get it because it's important. It's not only going to be for you, but it's going to be for your next door neighbor, the next person beside you, someone right in your house. It can be your child, and that's important.
Very true.
And we want to stress that. So talk to your kids about what's happening. Be honest. Avoid alarming them unnecessarily on event topics. What do you say about that?
Definitely let them see reality, understanding things as far as life and death, and like guns are real, and things that are dying. Like I taught my kids about little small things like with bugs.
Yeah.
And, letting them understand. And then I correlate that to, you see how this bug has no longer with us? Well, that's the same thing with the gun. My kids, I can even just pretend I'm just handing them a gun and say, hey, here, go put this in my drawer for me. I'm tired. They're like, no. And they run away. And they're like, stop, don't touch, run away. I'm telling a grown-up. And they have so much fun.
I
but
love it.
kidding aside, they know. My kids are 5 and 6, and they know not to touch a gun. They know when they're in my office, I have a display case that's locked. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have a care in the world that they were going to go pick that up. My kids know because I educated them. It's all about education.
And what do you think is a good time to start educating your child about a gun?
I would say as young as you feel. I would 3, 4, 5 years old. When they can squeeze that trigger, like you mentioned, that's a perfect age to let them do it. Absolutely.
Okay. Someone said, encourage your kids to stay connected with friends virtually and I'm saying that because kids are getting antsy. They're home. But, and the reason I read that is because, I won't say who, but they were doing show and tell virtually. So guess what they showed?
Wow.
And that brought up such a concern because the parents had it locked under a key.
Wow.
And they knew where the key was. They knew how to get into the lock. They knew how to get a ladder, put the ladder up, and get to the gun. They did all of that. And they thought that when they did all of this, the door was closed, that the child just didn't know.
Wow.
They can't even figure out how that child knew. The good thing about it is, like what you said, they didn't have the clip and they were responsible and the chamber was empty.
Right.
But just imagine if the chamber was full.
Exactly.
And, and that's why I brought up keep your kids connected virtually. And this is true. This is what's happening. And it's scary. And we're going to open up the lines for a couple minutes. If you wanted to call and had a question for Richard, you can call 772-340-5090. And if you have any questions, if you're online and you have any questions that you'd like to give me, I'm looking now, and I'll be happy to ask them if anyone has any that's relevant to the topic that we're talking about, because that's important. We do want to stay on point with anything that we have. And we want to thank everyone out there, Bishop, Milo. Hi, guys. I don't see who this is. And Kelsey, anyone that's out there that is coming on and listening, we thank you for it. So we do have a few minutes. What are some highlights? I walk into your office and I have my 15-year-old with me. And I have a gun and he wants to go to the range to start learning how to shoot. What would you tell me?
First, I would tell them let's educate them on safety, on how dangerous it could be. Before actually learning how to shoot the firearm, I would definitely instruct them on safety and the devastation that a firearm can promote. Definitely. And I was even confronted by a young lady not too long ago that I trained a couple of weeks ago, and she said she had a gun for a year, never shot it once or twice, but it was never any good, never got professional training. She was so impressed with the training that I gave her, and she was shooting bullseyes by the end of the session. She texted me shortly thereafter, how much would you charge to show my son how to shoot? He's 6 years old. I said, first I would teach him educate him on safety, and asked how much that would be. I said, for children, I don't charge. If I can save a life and instill some education and safety, I don't care about the money. I care about the children's life.
Well, hold on again.
Oh, I get the applause button.
Yes, you do. You get the applause button because what some people don't understand, everything is not about money.
That's right.
A life is so important, and we need to teach our children because guns are so accessible.
That's right.
You can go to so many places and just get any gun anywhere at so many places. I have Jet on the line, and he has a question. Jeff.
Yes, hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can, Jeff. How are you doing? Thank you for calling into Careology.
Yes, thank you very much for receiving my call.
Yes.
So, of course, by the way, I certainly appreciate all of the wonderful information that you and Chief Richard are providing for the show. And, of course, gun violence is a prevalent issue that transcends age, and it's especially a huge issue among the youth. So there is also one aspect of gun violence I would like to address, particularly concerning the mental health aspects of gun violence, especially during the coronavirus pandemic. Feelings of isolation and anxiety among teenagers and adolescents is a widespread issue. In fact, I've had some students at my high school actually commit suicide because of feelings of isolation.
Oh my goodness!
In fact, yes, and of course, from a statistic that I pulled up, firearms actually constitute nearly half of all suicides by youth committed by youth from 2005 to 2010. So perhaps if addressing in some form mental health could also reduce gun violence among youth. So what are your guys' proposals or solutions to this very important issue? What's something that parents can do to really help youth and adolescents go through these tough times?
Well, something that I would say first and foremost is not only the education, because we all know guns don't kill people, people kill people, and unfortunately people that will take their own is really very sad, and we're really supportive of that. The mental health aspect starts at home, and parents should not be ignorant or blind or deaf to warning signs. Give your child a hug. Figure out what's going on. Don't ignore the warning signs.
Yes. So for those that can't listen, we had, is it Jet or Jeff?
Jet, like an airplane.
Okay, Jet.
J-E-T-T.
Okay, yeah. Jet. So what it is, for those that aren't listening, what can parents do when children are suffering during this time? And Richard hit it right on the button. It is, Jet, thank you so much. We so appreciated that question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And we wanted to, and Richard answered it perfectly. Mental health starts at home. It doesn't start with the gun. And that is something we talked about in our first and our second show. And if you know someone has a mental illness, then you need to be more vigilant with the gun in your house. You need to be. We have Bob. Hi, Bob. How are you doing?
I agree. Guns scare the hell out of me. But I have them. But my Second Amendment rights, our founders, back when our founders did the Second Amendment rights, everybody had a gun. There was no Publix. There was no grocery stores. You had to hunt your food.
True.
And their reasoning for the Second Amendment was if you had a tyrannical government. And, so that was their point of it. And what do you say about that?
Well, I mean, aside from the government, this is a day and age where we need to protect ourselves. There are individuals out there that mean to do harm. So having your firearm, being properly trained, and even getting your permit so you may carry it while you're out doing your grocery shopping or or taking care of errands. This way you could protect yourself. And I've taught all kinds of people, different ages, 21 to 81. I mean, there's no right age to learn, but there's a wrong age to not gain that extra training. So pride needs to be put away.
I like what you're saying. I lived in Los Angeles, and people would get carjacked and killed all the time, almost daily, many of them. And then they would get killed for wearing some sneakers that somebody wanted. And I noticed in Florida, since I moved here from California, you never know. Granny might be packing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Definitely.
Yes. Definitely. Well, Bob, thank you so much, and continue listening. We love having you listen, and we appreciate that.
Definitely,
thank you
Bob.
so much.
Thanks, guys. I like the show.
Oh,
Definitely.
Thank you so much. You have a beautiful rest of your day.
And big tip, Roxy, that you can never be too old to learn new things.
Yes.
I have students that are even up in age 67 years old. I taught somebody not too long ago, a few weeks ago. He was 70, 71 years old, and he's like, wow, I never knew to shoot in that fashion. You can never be too old or too young to learn.
Yeah, and we always said that education is key.
Yeah.
And if you have a gun, you need to know how to use it.
Right.
You can't educate your child, and now grandchildren. This is the age where we have grandparents raising their grandchildren, and they might want to feel safe. So it behooves everyone. Education, learning, and skills, that is so, so important.
Absolutely.
And I have a couple more questions for you. I think I'm going to go ahead and do one more break. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do the break and we'll come back, and we have a couple more questions before we wrap up. And it's Roxy and Richard from All Florida Security Services right here in Port St. Lucie, and we'll be back after this message. Thank you. Why call Two Men in a Truck of the Treasure Coast? You want to move your business without moving a single meeting? You want it handled with no fuss. Lots of stuff, no time to move it? You need the pros that care. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck of the Treasure Coast. Family owned and operated franchise. Call 772-236-0827. 772-236-0827. Movers who care. Visit Two Men in a Truck, TreasureCoast.com.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And now back to Careology. Once again, here's Roxy.
If you're tuning in with us, my name is Roxy, and I have Richard from All Roads Florida Security Services. All Florida. Please correct me. Thank you. All Florida Security Services. And I am looking at the card, people, but I don't have my glasses on. And we are talking about safety, gun safety with your children, learning how to just, be educated. Richard, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, and kind of elaborating on what Bob was saying before, and you can never be too old or too young to learn, and another thing when you were talking before about getting the training and learning, but don't learn from somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, don't learn from the neighbor because they know how to shoot cans off a fence.
Exactly.
I can say that.
Exactly, and when I teach my concealed weapon permit class, I show different videos, and I've showed videos of individuals that are making poor mistakes of that unintentional shooting. Somebody is clearing their firearm jam, but they're off to the side where they're not at the range, pointing it down range at a safe direction. I mean, these are things that are happening day in and day out, and that's people getting hurt.
Right.
So definitely get professionally trained. Definitely do it the right way, because it's dangerous, extremely dangerous.
Just like truck drivers, just like when you learn to do a car, you don't go to someone that does not know. You don't go to a blind man and say, I want to go for my license. You look like you have experience because you've been around a long time. Can you teach me? That doesn't work. So I would never go to someone with a broken, messed up car and that's not working and ask them to fix my car.
Right, exactly.
No, I'm going to go to All Roads Trucking, because I've seen Tony's car, I've seen his Jeep. They know how to fix vehicles. So I go to places the same way you're not going to go to a car lot where you see banged up cars, dirty. It's amazing. When we shop for things, when we shop for food, we want the best. But then when we have something that we need to educate ourselves, we want to go the cheap route. And sometimes good things cost, and you have to spend money to learn because God forbid something happens. You can say, you know what, I got trained. I did this, and this is the right way. And if you speak it and people know, okay, then, he did that the best way he can.
Absolutely. I have many of my students that, especially like women, and many of them, and this is such a great credit to learning from somebody who knows what they're talking about. Many of the wives are saying, I don't want you, husband. I wouldn't want to go see Rich. I want to be taught by Rich. I want to go to his office, because they want to be. They learn from their husband, but they feel obligated to sit there and listen.
Right.
And they're oftentimes not being learned the same.
Okay.
The correct thing.
So this is International Women's Month.
Okay.
Out of the women and men that you train, who is the best? This
Honestly,
is Women's International Month.
That's a tough one, because I see kind of like 50-50. Maybe the women kind of tip the scale a little bit more.
Right
because
answer.
they're intuitive. I mean, they really yes, but
see, we're mama bears. We have a lot more to protect,
and they're
if you
more
come at us,
more thoughtful.
Yes.
Guys will just go up there and blah, 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 and just shoot them off, and
it's the testosterone comes out.
But women, they want to learn. They want to know how to do it. They want to line it up, and really, females are wonderful students.
Oh, well, wonderful. We have a couple minutes, but I just wanted to, I thought about something and I wanted to say it. Adults cannot count on children to know better.
Right.
That's number one. Adults, gun holders, and I'm going to change it from adults to gun holders. Gun holders cannot count on children to know better and not to touch the firearm. It's always the firearm owner's responsibility to keep guns out of the reach of children and teens, especially the more the young person are at home now during the quarantine. And we have, and Jet said it so perfectly, because we've had a lot of shows with, you know, individuals with experts talking about depression. This time being at home, we are individuals that need to be surrounded, need to be hugged, need to be loved, and we're set apart from everyone. And it gets under your skin. Sure. I've got into planting because it started getting onto my skin. I'm a physical person. And now that if you have that gun and you have that child, and Jet said it, what about the mental? It is your responsibility to know that your child is going under something is happening. Right. You don't want to get rid of your gun. Go to the bank and get a safety deposit box.
Right. Or get a safe. Get a lockbox. They're as little as $25. I mean, really, it's very insane of how inexpensive a lockbox can be. It's $25. Yeah. It's crazy.
To just lock the box, put it in your car.
Exactly.
If you have an office, lock it up, bring it in your office. If you know that child, and I'm so glad Jet touched on that. If you know that you have a child or someone in your home that is going through something, that is the time you should say, you know what, this might not be the best thing I need to have in my home right now. Exactly. It's very important for people to do that. And you can't buy a car without brakes. And I said that. And you shouldn't be able to buy a gun without a lock. Right. I know in New York, growing up, the big thing with Mayor Koch growing up was selling gun locks, because you had to have gun locks, because if anyone got that gun, you were responsible. They didn't care what happened. Right. And you know, parents, grandparents, friends, your life will be completely turned upside down, and your heart will shatter into more than a million pieces. Nothing will fix, nothing will make sense. You're gonna feel broken, and you're going to feel trust me when I tell you, there's not a word on how you're going to feel. Gun safety is paramount, and that's why I got Richard out here, so we can talk about it, we can learn about it, and we have a couple of minutes left. And Richard, I'm going to leave you that you can say something that, you know, about the gun safety. And this is not just for children, it's for everyone, because it affects everyone. If a child is not killed and a parent is, it still affects the child. Absolutely. So the floor is yours.
Thanks. Definitely safety first and foremost. It's so inexpensive to buy a lock, and ATF mandated a law where when somebody purchases a firearm, there's automatically a new lock in that firearm box. So if there's not, or you're buying a used firearm, well, guess what? A lock is $10. A safe is $25. You can get, of course, more elaborate, but it may not be always necessary. Definitely locking it up correctly and being safe. And I do home inspections. I do home visits. I do all kinds of stuff. I do training at home.
I'm going to stop you. For those that did not hear that, and I'm going to, and I know Kelsey's listening. We want to put that on there on our Facebook page. Richard will come to your home to make sure the safety of your firearm is in accordance, that you know that you can be safe. That is so important. His information is going to be on our Facebook page, and if you need the information, you can call CareBag. We'll be happy to go ahead and share that with you, because we're in the same plaza, so I can just shout outside my door, Richard, we need you. So please go ahead. I love that. Coming to someone's home. That is I love that.
Absolutely. I will come to the home. I'll come to place of business. I will do an inspection. I will teach people how to hold a gun. I'll teach people what to do if they do see a gun. I teach children. I teach adults. Everybody in between, learning the safety, learning the fundamentals. And the young man that called before, that he was, you could tell he was a little, what was that? I think Bob mentioned that he doesn't like guns.
He owns them,
but he doesn't like them.
Yeah.
Guess what? Get trained.
Exactly. So you can love them. It's a piece of machinery that you control. Right. Some people think guns control you. You control that machinery. Right. And and to have it, if you believe your First Amendment right is to have it, then be second. Sorry, a lot of people gonna kill me on that. If it's your Second Amendment right to have it, then guess what? Be responsible. That's what it comes down to. Get trained. Be responsible. Call. We'll have the information for all Florida security services. And they are on Hancock Drive, and it's so important. Richard, thank you. It has been a privilege for you to come out here and spend time that we can teach, answer questions, and let people know what we can do. Absolutely. And what else? What did we miss, or what eluded me that I missed?
Something that's really common is the notion that I don't like guns and I don't want to even touch them. But really building up that knowledge and building up that education and building up that confidence to where if it comes into a play that maybe you'll find somebody that you hang out with and they want to go to the range. Building up that confidence and training is so super simple. And the education and knowledge, just like you mentioned, is key.
Okay, so I have 5 minutes left.
Okay.
4 minutes. Thank you, Cliff. And I always have, so the clock is a minute. Oh, your clock. Okay. We always go through this. What is a common myth about guns that you can debunk?
That guns don't kill people, people kill people.
I agree with you on that. What advice would you give someone wanting to buy a gun?
Get properly trained. Don't just pick a gun that the person behind the counter says, here, you can have this, and it's not the right gun. So be well educated and get a second opinion.
Okay, so you've answered that question before. What did you wish you had known before you started this journey?
How much time do we have?
Not that much.
I don't know. Pass.
Okay. What is your favorite memory since you've started doing this that you can say, you know what, I'm glad I'm doing this?
When I can train somebody and they just look me in the eyes and shake my hand or give me a hug and say, thank you. I didn't know that. Now I have the confidence, I have the courage, I have the knowledge that I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
And I love it. And thank you so much. They're just heartfelt thankfulness is just it just touches my heart. Yeah,
appreciation.
It
is
bypasses
awesome.
the dollar.
Definitely. This has nothing to do with guns. We ask every guest this. We started off the year, which now we're in March, picking a word instead of a revolution. If you had to pick one word to carry you through the whole year, what would that word be?
Family. Love your family.
We haven't had family, have we, Cliff?
Family.
Oh,
just love your family.
No one said family. You're the first. Good for you.
Love your family.
All right.
And keep them close.
That is good. I love that. Well, we're getting ready to close, but I just want to give that number out. If someone is looking for the vaccine under 50 years old, March the 13th, and that is going to be at River of Life Fellowship in Fort Pierce. You have to be 50 years and older and be born before April 10th, 1971. 4 criteria. You can be a first responder, work for the Board of Education, a school bus driver, have a medical issue that needs a note, and be a daycare provider. The number is 772-468-7979. And this is CareBag. We are a subsidiary. We are Careology, a subsidiary of CareBag, and we care for our community. We are a nonprofit that believes proper hygiene is not a privilege. It is it is a right. Everyone should have that. And we supply from Indian River, Port Saint Lucie, Fort Pierce, all the way down to West Palm Beach. We're in Indian River tomorrow at the Gifford Youth Center for hygiene products. We're in Hub Sound at Banner Lake Community on Friday because the need for diapers between our elderly and our babies, it is astonishing. We can't keep it on the shelf. If you'd like to support us in any way, go to givecarebag.com. And this is Roxy with Careology. I will be back next Tuesday, and I am so excited about the guests we're having. We have Assistant Chief Richard Del Toro, and we're going to talk about, I love him. That's my brother from another
love you, Richard.
Mother, father, grandmother, everybody. But he's an awesome guy. He's for the community, and we have some really good topics we're going to talk about. It's an open discussion. The phone lines will be open. to discuss with your Assistant Chief of Police of Port St. Lucie any questions you may have. Thank you for listening to Careology. Love you. We'll be back Tuesday. Stay safe. God bless. Thanks, Cliff.
The Science of Caring. Careology every Tuesday evening in the 6 o'clock hour right here on Digital 1590.